What do you want to know about, man?
Well, lately you have been doing something pretty cool, man. I really love this idea, and it got me thinking about something, maybe bigger that we could do going down the road. But right now, I just want to hear more about some of these conversations that you are having, actually in church with some local pastors in the area.
Yeah.
What is that all about, man? How has that been going?
Well, it's been going phenomenally well. I've actually been enjoying it quite a lot. So you and I were doing the conversation coalition one night, and we had four pastors come in,
Yeah.
and we could tell when they walked in the door they were kind of
They were ready.
Oh, they were ready. They were ready to give these atheists, the what to for. And so we had some conversations with them that night. It got a little bit spicy, nothing too bad. And then I asked them that night if they would mind. I said, "Look, y'all have come to our event. Would it be okay if I came to yours?" And they said, "Oh, absolutely." Which I knew they would. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't tell a non-believer that that you don't want them at your church. Of course you got to say
Yeah. I mean, come on.
but now that and they came in with like 20 of their church members one night. So this guy was really ready and kind of had his whole squad with him. So now not only does the pastor clearly know who I am, but also most of, a lot of the church does. And so I was curious to see when I showed up at church that following Sunday. This was on a Thursday night. I was curious to see when I went to church that Sunday. So just a couple of days later.
Right.
So it's very fresh on their minds, how I would be received. And I was very pleasantly surprised. I mean, I walked in the door and it was handshakes and hugs and, calling me by my name. As soon as I walked in the door, "Hey, there's Gary," And so I was, like I said, pleasantly surprised. So that's been fantastic. And so I sat and listened to his message. And then after the service, of course, I hung around for a few minutes. And then later in the week, he messaged me and said, "Hey, I'd like to get your thoughts on the sermon."
That's the bit
Yeah.
that really interests the crap out of me, man.
Right.
And again, like you said, this is something that you have been going every Sunday for about a month now, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty consistently. And the idea that he is reaching out to you afterwards and asking your thoughts, I think is really cool, man.
It is.
So like, I know because we've talked about this, but are you holding back? Are you not telling him the criticism? Are you, how are you engaging in that moment when he's saying to you, like, "Dude, you just heard me preach my sermon. Like,
Yeah.
what I get wrong? What I get, what? How do you handle that?"
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I'm holding back. I'm cordial. I appreciate the fact that he's willing to listen to a non-believer and get my opinion on what was said. I do give him my real criticisms in that I don't think that there's any reason to believe when he says certain things. So I do challenge directly, although in a friendly manner. We're getting to know each other. I would say that we're becoming friends, friends who disagree clearly. But no, I don't hold back. But I am cordial.
Yeah.
So
not going out of your way to try and offend or
no, because I want to keep, So he texted me the other night and said, "Hey, one of the people that goes to my church wants to have a conversation with you. Would it be okay if I gave him your number?" Absolutely. I can't believe that you would want to, give my number to a member of your
pass up that
congregation.
opportunity,
No, absolutely
come
not.
on.
And so I'm having dinner with them in a couple of days.
Okay.
I don't know what questions they'll have for their friendly local atheist, but I'm happy to take them.
Yeah.
And the pastor and I will get together again this week for lunch sometime, and I'm sure I'll see him at church on Sunday. And so
Let me throw something out to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever brought this up to you, but it might be fun. Might be fun to think about. I'm gonna take just a second and give a viewpoint from the non-religious side. I'm gonna say, actually, man, what you're doing, you think you're helping when you're going to these churches.
Hmm.
You think what you're doing is you're providing pushback and getting these people to have these critical thoughts and stuff. But in reality, man,
Mm-hmm.
you're just ultimately reinforcing their beliefs in the supernatural and Christianity and all that stuff.
Mm.
I mean, do you think that criticism has any validity to it? Do you think there's anything behind those in our camp? Because I know there are some out there
Mm-hmm.
that would say exactly that. Hey, what you're really doing when you go to these churches, I mean, sure, it makes you feel good, and it's good, for you in that moment. But like, nobody really is paying attention when you're there. Nobody really is thinking critically about this stuff. Like, oh, bless his heart, he's an atheist, whatever. So what do you say to that? Do you think there's anything to that? Do you think people are like, well, okay, maybe sometimes, or like, no, actually complete opposite. I think this is the number one most effective. Yeah. Where do you sit?
I sit on the number one most effective side. And here's why. People that have deconstructed, that have walked away from faith, they've spent time thinking about these things. They've been over Pascal's wager, and they've really weighed the pros and cons of that argument. They've been through the watchmaker argument and the fine tuning and all these things. We spend a lot of time thinking about these things, and we've processed them, and we have arrived at where we stand on these things. Your average Christian, when they look at you and they say, man, Elliot, I don't get it. Like why not just believe, just in case?
Sure.
That's where their thinking stops with it. So they've never had anybody look at them and go, right, I've clearly thought about what you're presenting to me. We call it Pascal's wager.
Yeah.
The problems that we have with it are X, Y, and Z. They've never heard somebody do that. Most of these people have never heard somebody talk to their pastor the way that I sometimes do.
That's a good point.
Which is, hey man, I hear what you're saying, and none of it sounds believable to me. And this is why. They're kind of taken aback the first time that somebody questions their pastor. And I think it's a healthy thing to do, to question a lot of things, especially if you're going to be taking guidance and leadership in your life from this person. You should absolutely question the things that they're saying. And so I think it's very beneficial for me to sit there and say, this is how you do that.
So it doesn't, because I think broadly, I'm totally on board with you. I think the criticisms about, hey, talking to these people isn't going to change people's minds, I think is a really poor way of thinking about the world. I think it's always what causes us to change our minds. I don't know what else possibly could, right? Other than the experience itself, right? Of getting that new information presented to us in one form or fashion. It doesn't always happen through a casual chat with friends, right?
Right.